Hi everyone, welcome back to the AI Radio Room. My name's Matty. I'm the community manager at Magnet AI. I'm joined with Anjali George. She's the head of marketing and growth for Theoriq.
Theoriq AI.
Theoriq AI. Brilliant. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So, do you want to maybe tell the audience a little bit more about what Theoriq does?
Yeah, my name is Anjali George. I'm the head of marketing and growth here at Theoriq AI. Theoriq, our thesis is simple. Just like human beings, agents are going to specialize. And agents, just like human beings, will form teams to then solve complex problems. So we're focused on being a modular and composable infrastructure layer through which you can access the entire Web3 AI stack and build agents that will talk to each other, will negotiate with each other, and then do long-lived actions.
Lovely. That's a really good summary. Nice and quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, shall we maybe start by talking about the training of AI models, right? So, loads of AI systems nowadays are based on publicly available information, right? So, social media, they pull data from Twitter usage, etc. Do you think that it's ethical to use that data without the consent of, the owner of that data?
I think it's a great question, right? Like once you put data on the internet, who owns that data, right? Right now, the question is like people are using data that's on Twitter, people are using data that's on Google. Once you put it out for the world to consume, how does it matter if it's a human being using it and reading it and ingesting that information, or if it's an agent ingesting that information, right?
Sure.
So right now, when you pay for API calls, you're usually paying Meta, you're paying somebody else, and it's usually a business that's actually monetizing and owning that data.
Yeah.
So is it the end creator of that data that's getting paid? Not necessarily.
Nope.
And so that's where that ethical dilemma comes in, right? Who owns the data? And right now, like nobody does. It's public data. And for agents to be able to use it and AI to be able to leverage it, I think it's a natural right. So
Yeah, I think I agree with you. So do you think there's a pressing need for blockchain like infrastructure in AI? And do you think maybe Web 2 solutions are insufficient in comparison to infrastructure in AI in blockchain?
it comes down to like multiple parts, right? Like ownership. You have no way of showing that in Web 2 right now. Like whether it's like the same question you asked before about data. Like I should be able to monetize my data. I should own my data. Can't do that in Web 2 right now.
No.
You can only do that with Web 3. Second part of this equation is agent developers or AI developers in general right now. They're building GPTs, they're launching solutions on Hugging Face.
Yeah.
And it's super extractive platforms because yes, they're open source, but like a closed provider can come in, take a look at your source code, understand your idea, take it, build it in a black box, and then monetize it for themselves. And so you as a under-resourced developer, you have no way to monetize without Web3 guardrails. So you can own your data, you own your agent, you put it into a marketplace that then gets called dynamically, and you have smart contracts built in so that you're earning like royalties in perpetuity, regardless of how it gets used, when it gets called. You can't do any of that in Web 2. And like from a project perspective, you can't incentivize developers to come and build with you unless you have Web3 guardrails. And the community cannot participate as well. That's like the third component, right? And like, I think that's probably the most important layer for us because how AI gets built, it's kind of guaranteed that AI is the defining technology of our generation.
Sure.
And we as community and we as users need to be able to decide what gets built, the focus of these AI developers are. And if we don't have a system to sort of interact, give feedback, like right now with OpenAI, ChatGPT, there's a big gap there.
Yeah.
And I don't think Web 2 can fill that gap. And we've built those systems within Web 3, and that's the ethos of Web 3, and that's very, very important.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the democratization of governance in the space. How does leveraging blockchain technology benefit your goals for democratizing AI development and governance? Is there any challenges that are faced by trying to implement a blockchain solution for that sort of thing?
We do use like token-based governance models because like if an AI agent is getting built and it starts acting maliciously.
Mhm.
How do you give feedback into the system so that the system knows? So that's important, right? So like token-based governance models are vital in that nature. Even if you think about like how a protocol gets developed, we can talk about Polkadot and
Yeah.
like spending $35 million a quarter for marketing measures. I'm a marketer, would have loved to have that budget, but like, is that the right use of funds? That's that community aspect, right? Like, so on the agent level, like, is it a valuable agent? Should it get built? Should resources go towards it? Is it performing well? Do I want to keep using it? Is this what I want to incentivize as behavior? And then from a foundation perspective, like, where should we focus our effort? Should we be spending more money and giving out grants to developers? Should we be incentivizing more people to use the agents? All of these components are very much like Web3 governance principles. And yeah, I think they're very important, right? Like, that's how we decide what gets built.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Whenever there's like technological advancements, they always tend to be governed by governments, right? Do you think there's any room for traditional Web3 solutions to help govern the progress of AI?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, we're actually focused on a couple of things. We're working with a few other projects on the Proof Inference Consortium.
Yeah.
So trying to set standards for inference, trying to set standards for agent interoperability, trying to set standards for like how like the data that an agent is using is being verified. All of these are very important measures. Most of the time, even in Web 2, you see a lot of self-policing within like businesses.
Yeah.
The government does eventually step in, and I think there needs to be some amount of regulatory certainty when it comes to like who owns AI, who owns the data. Like, there are some components to it where having like a government say this is okay is important. But so far as Web3, we've been innovating, we've been pushing this like boundary of innovation and trying to get better and better. And internally, we have so much feedback. We know when somebody is messing up, and whether it's airdrops having a problem or somebody like manipulating or like taking advantage of some kind of like system,
Right.
we've noticed and we've been able to sort of like self-police. So I do think we're able to. Would it give us more clarity if the government gave us an answer?
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't think we've reached that point of adoption yet.
No.
And I think it's going to take some time.
So the reason that we're talking so much about governance this time around is because there was a massive, obviously, lawsuit. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, the one with Suno and Udio. So for those at home who don't know, Suno and Udio are text-to-audio software. And recently, Warner Brothers and Sony have tried to sue them because they're kind of assuming that they used artist data to train their models, and they view it as copyright infringement, right? So do you think that's a legitimate defense of artist rights, or do you think it's maybe like stifling innovation by doing this sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, right? Picasso will tell you that great artists copy, bad artists steal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's a very poignant way to think about it, because all art is inspired by other art. Like, think about fashion, you think about architecture, you think about music. Like, it goes through cycles, it goes through trends. There's a set number of rhythm beats that you can make. And like Mozart and, Chopin, everybody came up with like the early melodies and kind of like the beats that you still hear. Like, hip hop took so much from Afro Latin beats.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
like the early history, right? So can you claim that none of this new music is new music, or none of the new art is new art because it was inspired?
Yeah.
Right? That's like a big question. And I don't agree. I think there is a lot of stifling because Sony's scared that
Yes.
new artists are going to come out and they're not going to need their platforms to be able to earn. They're just going to put it out into the wild. And I think that's very important to have, because now we decide with our dollars, with our tokens, with our time, what is useful, what is great. We don't need some guy in a suit in an office building that's getting paid millions of dollars a year to tell you what's good music and what needs to get produced. And why not? And so, like, it's using data that's out there, but it's making something new. I've used Suno multiple times, and like, it's not that great. It's not like it's good. But it can't compete at a human level. Maybe it's gonna get there.
Yep.
But like then like it's about who prompts it and how well you're gonna be able to prompt it. And now it's unlocking a different level of human creativity.
Sure.
And I don't think it's the same as like it's not repurposing a Dua Lipa song and like playing it back to you. That's not what's happening, right? And so I don't think so, and I don't agree that like this is to protect artists' rights.
No.
I think it's very much like a record label sort of like afraid of the new technology that's coming out and trying to like get ahead of it. Because if they have the option to monetize it and own it, you'd probably do that and put it out to you as a service that you could use. But now that it's free and open source and anybody can play with it, now they're worried. And so, yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. Thank you. So maybe just to close off very briefly, what have you got planned at Theoriq over the next 3 months that users might be looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, Theoriq's been in this like hyper growth phase.
Yeah.
So ChainML Labs, we've been building for about 2 years. We've built some white glove solutions for teams like Space and Time. We've got kind of really complex like data analytics platform called Council Analytics. And what we're thinking of doing is sort of like making that open source, making that available so people can like track on-chain data, figuring out like trend analysis, things like that. So we're going into testnet really soon. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have testnet 1, where developers who build agents or looking to build agents and want to monetize them can register them. And then coming in a couple of weeks after that, we're working on a no-code building workspace. So we think that's really important to sort of like level out the playing field. So test out different theories, right? Build agent teams and put them up and try to make money off of them. And I think that's going to be another portion of this. Our light paper is coming out really soon. Our website, Theoriq.ai, has a lot of information. You can find us on X, and we're kind of like always in Twitter spaces, talking new projects. And like, how do we make that whole like AI X Web3 stack, like I said before, like compute, deepen, inference models, like how do you make all of that accessible and drive demand for it? That's what we're focused on. And so that's going to come out in the next few months. And we've got a range of partnerships, all of that kind of rolling out really quickly. So yeah, we're going into mainnet by the end of this year. And so that's going to be pretty cool.
Very exciting stuff. So thank you very much, Anjali. Thanks everybody at home for listening. We'll see you again soon. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Cheers for that.
Thank you so much.